While Complete and Complete Ultimate do indeed come with a lot of very nice pianos, most of which, if not all of them, I've already looked at in depth, there are also pianos included in the Kontakt Factory Library, and that's what we're going to take a real quick look at here. So, as you can see, I already have them loaded up. We have some from the band category and the orchestral category. You can see right there, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You can see in the band category, acoustic pianos. Of course, we also have electric pianos. We're just focusing on the acoustic pianos here. And of course, in here, in the orchestral keyboard instruments, and right here, we have 2 different pianos, which we already have loaded up. Of course, there's a lot more in the Kontakt Factory Library, but we're just going to look here at our pianos. All right, so a lot of this is going to be the same for both of these. And of course, everything like in the band category is going to be the same. Once you learn one, you'll know all of them. So let's just hear how they sound first, and then we'll go through these options here. Very cool. That's the grand piano. Sounds really good, actually. And then our ragtime piano. Not too bad. Okay, and then our upright piano. Not too bad at all there. Go ahead and mute that one. Now on to a piano from the orchestral pack over here. So right off the bat, that already sounds much more high quality to me. Very good. And we're going to get into these options here in just a minute. Very nice. Okay. And our last piano here, our Concert Grand. There we go. That's probably the best sounding one I've heard. Very nice. Really like that one. Okay. So before we get too lost in this piano, let's go ahead and go over our options here just so we know what everything does. Starting up here on our band category. Again, everything in the band category is going to be the same. All right. So let's look over this. Our Rel Reso. So that, of course, activates the release resonance samples on or off. You'll probably want it on. And then you have your Sus Reso, which, again, you can always look down here in this gray area here. So that controls the sustain sample resonance and release sample volume. Then we have our noises, which is pretty self-explanatory. So the noises of the piano, the key release, the pedal, and then sound, which is 10 preset EQs, which we can hear this, by the way. Turn our noises up. Not gonna hear too much there. Let's go through our sound, our EQ settings. So definitely a different EQ setting there. Kind of weird ones. 10 different settings there. All right. Then we have our compressor on or off, just very basic here. And then a stereo control. Our stereo control, which obviously controls how wide the piano sound is here. That's mono right there. You can go nice and wide. Then pull it down. About right here. And then we have a chorus. All right, and a delay. All those are pretty much self-explanatory there. Let's pop this back open. And on to our master effects. Of course, we have a reverb. Different kinds here. And our amount. All right, that's self-explanatory. And we have a cabinet for some reason. Okay, it's like a guitar cabinet, as you can see here. And you can hear how that sounds. The air control. That's going to control the volume of the early reflections in the room response. So adding space to the sound. All right, turn that off. Then we have a very basic EQ. Just 3 bands. All right, so that's basically all for at least this front page here. And all of this is the same on all of these here. All right. Moving on, let me turn that EQ off. We have our options tab. I'll just stop that. We have our options tab right here. And again, all of this is going to be the same for all of these pianos here. Just basic stuff that we'll just go over real quick. So our key range, you can click learn there. I'm not going to even mess with it right now. It's pretty self-explanatory. You can create key splits and things like that if you want. Next up, we have our velocity curves, which I've gone over this plenty of times in the other piano videos. So I'm hitting the key at the same velocity, and it's going to be harder here. You can see it's softer even though I'm hitting the key at the same velocity. And of course, that's going to affect your playback too. Here, it's softer now. Now it's going to be harder. Very cool. Then we have our little velocity to volume controller there. So percentage of velocity to volume modulation. Let me change this back to. All right, just the basic control. Then we have our minimum and our maximum. So if I wanted this to be, say, way up high to 127, it doesn't matter how softly I'm hitting this key. I'm hitting it very soft on this keyboard controller here. And it's still gonna, no matter how hard or soft, it's gonna be 127. So that's pretty self-explanatory if you know anything at all about MIDI. Then we have our PB range or pitch bend range. This is another basic control. So this, of course, is for our pitch bend wheel. So I'll just hit a note and mess with the pitch bend wheel. Nothing's happening. So let's go ahead and adjust this down and adjust this up. All right, so that's all that does. You can, of course, reverse them there. All right, and just sort of, you just adjust the range of how far down or up you want it to go. So even though I was putting the wheel through the full action, it barely went up and barely went down. All right, and I'm just control clicking those to put them back in the middle. Transpose, again, pretty self-explanatory here. Hitting the same note, hitting a C, and the octave. All right, self-explanatory right there. On to our tuning. Again, another self-explanatory thing. C and equal tempered. We're not really going to mess with this because you're not really going to hear it. But if I, right? Pretty much the same there. Let's go to this one, quarter tone. I'm hitting a basic C chord. And it sounds horrible. If you don't know anything about tuning, then don't mess with it. Equal tempered will work. Pure should be fine. It just really depends on what you need. Equal tempered is what we're going to leave it on. Then we have randomize, a pretty cool feature here. So we have our volume control. So randomly change the volume, randomly change the velocity, randomly change the pan, and randomly change the pitch. All right, turn it on, of course. That sounds awful, especially that pitch being changed there. All right, and you can hear this in action, by the way. Sounds like a piano falling down the stairs. Turn it off. So of course, these are extreme settings that you wouldn't use. But that is what it does. So that is everything for these, the band pianos here. These are all the same. And it's pretty much going to be the same for the orchestral too, or at least for the options page. All right, so that is the band instruments, all of our options that we have there. And like I said, it's all the same for all of these, so we can unmute this one. We'll just hit play here. Our EQ settings, our noise, our release samples, reverb, cabinet, EQ, stereo, chorus, delay, our options. I fell right down the stairs there. All right, let's go ahead and move on to our orchestral pianos. Now you're gonna pretty much know everything that we just went over there because this is pretty much the same. Let's actually use, I'm gonna use this piano down here because I like how it sounds. It sounds a little bit better. All right, very cool. So we have our sound. So this is going to morph through our various EQ settings, just like we did above there. I'll just hit play here. You can hear our EQ sounds. All right, very basic there. Then we'll go ahead and skip over to our equalizer. Again, a basic equalizer. Of course, you can turn on the different bands here or turn them off. We have a mid-gain and a mid-frequency that we can choose. So a little bit more control. Of course, treble. And then turn them off. Very cool. Then we have our master section, our master effects section. So a bunch of different reverb types here. And then types within that type. And of course, you turn it on and off here. And our amount. Okay, then moving on, we have, let's come back up here to our instrument controls. This is kind of cool here. So our chord that enables the chord function of the built-in harmonizer. So of course you can turn it on or off. All right, so go to octave. Can you hear that? I'm just hitting one note, by the way. Third. Just hitting a C. You can see it right down here. Fifth. That's 1, 3, 5. So it's the same as me going 1, 3, 5. As you can see down here, I'm actually hitting the chord. Versus here with 1, 3, 5, I'm just going to hit the C. Then we have our key control, which of course chooses the root key of the scale set with scale here. All right. So I have that on 1, 3, 5. So we can choose our scale. Mixolydian, whole tone. Okay, we can change this 1, 4, 6. A bunch of different scales you can go through. We'll just go to a melodic minor. Then you can set the key. All right. So of course it's not gonna sound good if I play a chord with this chord on, at least most of the time. But it makes it really easy to, that sounds horrible there. Not too bad. All right, but hopefully you get the idea of that. It's pretty cool to have that in there, that chord option. Again, that was just one note each. And you have a bunch of different ones to go through here. So we've gone over everything on the front page, onto the options, which we've actually already covered in our band control options. Okay, transpose, our velocity, our pitch bend range, of course our randomize. All right, and of course the tuning. So all of that is exactly the same. So we already know how to do that. No need to cover it twice. Okay, so I'll just play back here and we'll just kind of mess around with everything here. this is not going to sound good at all. Okay. All right, pretty cool. So hopefully you understand. We went in deep here, went in depth into the pianos included in the Kontakt Factory Library. Again, we have some here in the band category. Right here under acoustic pianos, again, we have electric pianos as well, a bunch of them actually. And then in our orchestral keyboard instruments right there, 1 and 2. Then of course we have a harpsichord and organ, things like that as well. But this is covering the pianos. They sound pretty good overall. You know, they are definitely usable, not nearly as many options as something like the Giant or something like, say, the Maverick, the Grandeur, the Gentleman, or even our other collection that we have here of pianos, our Berlin Grand, New York Grand, Alicia Keys, so on and so forth. All right, so pretty cool. So in a following video, I'll just have a playthrough of our different pianos here so you can hear them without me talking. But now you should at least understand how to use the pianos included with the Kontakt Factory Library and know that they are indeed very, very usable pianos. And of course, you can go check out Kontakt and the full Kontakt Factory Library at nativeinstruments.com.